Hello and welcome to Sacred Warrior Space Podcast. This is episode 15. My name is Linda Light. We are in cycle 2, Trusting Your Soul. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you some channeled messaging brought forth by the 9th Dimensional Octarian Council of Light. This is not the 11th Dimensional Elders, but this was sent through my soul transmissions on my birthday. So, transmission begin. In the realm of possibility, do you know what you truly desire? Have you evaluated the instantaneous manifestations of pure thought creation? Are you truly purified to activate and self-initiate the recoding process taking place within you? For truth be told, you have already done this, and the hijacked timeline is restored. Are you resonating with the authentic, organic timeline, which is your divine birthright? Are you able to comprehend the language of your soul? The light which you are does indeed have its own language. Your soul song isn't limited to one song, but rather your expression of light to outpour matter through frequency that is generated within you. Are you hiding from yourself, your soul, behind comfortable programs that feels still as outdated and primitive to your ego essence now? Yes, your ego has an essence, and its presence has been a present and a gift from your soul as it is developed and grown much like a tree. The ego must go through many stages of development before it can bear fruit. And so, your ego personality must go through its development cycles to become tapped in, rooted down, and in sync and alignment with the cycles of seasons through time. You are like a tree in comparison to the tree of life. How do you share your beauty, shade, medicine, stability, protection, abundance to all those who seek out your presence while searching for their own perfect divine location, for their own tree locations? Allowing your soul to integrate is when your tree becomes fruitful. You cannot kill your ego. You take it with you as you ascend into becoming your soul incarnate as divine providence. End transmission 144, 147, 33, 44, 4. So that was on my birthday, and there was a message that came through after this from my soul level on the 11th. The age of the personal throne is over. The personal throne, which is power over others, is complete. And as you know, you probably have tests that you're actively involved with, especially if you're on the Sacred Warrior path. The tests that your soul gives to you to see if you're still operating in fear-based or lack-based mentality. And each step of the way, as you become more trusting at the core level, and that includes initial thoughts, responses. Your initial thoughts to a test is what triggers the ongoing initiation and recodings. So if your soul is throwing out a test of lack and your first response is fear-based and how am I going to fill in the blank, that's still fear-based. And I don't want to say you don't pass the test, but yeah, you're going to be tested again. And you're going to be tested and tested and tested until you're purified and cleansed enough that your initial reactions are not fear-based or lack-based. And it's just an ongoing process. That's part of the ascension process. So the ruling over others is a massive program. It's called the Personal Throne Program. And that is placing yourself above other people, and egoic in the sense of your ego expressed in a 3D dimensional setting where you're only concerned about yourself, and it's selfish instead of selfless. So when we high rise it all, we take the meaning back, we empower, we re-empower certain transcriptions of what words mean. So taking care of yourself, for example, self-care, we have learned uprised is the most important thing. So if you fill your cup, you don't share from your cup itself, you share from the overflow in the saucer. That's self-care. It's like taking the oxygen mask in the plane when the decompression happens, and you want to pass out, or do you want to be available to help other people? You put the mask on yourself first. That's selfless, not selfish. And so as we learn to high rise and transmute all of the transcriptions and the meanings of things that have been kept down in the dark, those meanings, that's when you realize that your personal throne is now shifting so that you would rebuke or revoke or resign to not sitting in a personal throne in your ascension level. So as you get to a certain place in the process, your self will be tested by your own soul and perhaps some counsels of light as well, depending on what level of the testing you're at. And when you're offered a personal throne and you refuse it and decline it and say, where we go one, we go all, basically, it's if it's good for me, it's good for the collective. That's when you're doing personal healings. You start to get to a place where it's not just about your healing, because you realize and remember, because you've had soul memories about the grid work and how you're connected to everything. So everything that's connected to your crystalline Christ consciousness type of grids, and I'll just keep it simple for people that are just starting to get to be familiar with the grid work, but the crystalline grid work has its own mantra, which I was received. This is actually written down over on my website, Linda Light, Lynda light.com. It's down, if you just scroll down on the first page, it's the article dated May 11th. And it says Soul Messages, The Age of the Personal Throne is Over. That's the title. If you click on Read More and go in there, it's very short, but it will tell you the transmission about how the Karai Sata El mantra for crystal. Think of crystal when you say the word. It can be Ka or Ki. It can be Ra or Ra. S or Is. Sa or Sa. Ta or Ta. L or L. So when you're saying the mantra, Karai Sata El, you're saying it as one long invocation to clear, clarify, activate, attune to, and become one with that crystalline network. So you're putting yourself in a self-generating pod measure. You're in control of the division of the grid work that goes through your body, right? So when you're reclaiming that and you're claiming the mantra of crystal, Karaisata El, Karaisata El, crystal, crystal, crystal. It's the word of the invocation that activates the grid work, that purifies it. So you can go check that written out there and practice saying that as a mantra multiple times. But if you're doing self-healing and you activate the crystalline network, you're doing it open source. This is an open source code. And all of you coders out there and programmers, or even initiate coders, you're just on the path. You're starting to realize what open source is all about. And even if you're not a programmer, coder, that's okay. Open source basically means anyone who wants to use this code can use this code. Now, it cannot be used for anything less than 7th dimensional, higher intentional frequencies. They'll be just, they won't survive. They have to be at a high, light enough vibration to be able to move the density of the light. I guess that's the best way to put it. Light has structure to it, just like the crystalline structures. So to be able to move the matter of light through the crystalline network, one has to be able to be in a pure tone vibration, not in separation. Separation is this language I'm speaking now. It's speaking on a 3D level. However, if you've noticed, it's encoded on a higher light frequency band. So it's moving transmissions of packets of information on higher grid formations. So your soul will be resonating more with the feeling of this message versus the words you're hearing in 3D. So it's like listening to the radio. You don't see the frequencies, just like you don't see the English language. You're not seeing those frequencies. So when you're hearing something, you're hearing the meaning behind it. If you're listening to someone channeling their soul through a light language coded message, you're listening to the feeling behind it. It's also known as speaking in tongues or just light language transmissions, as you want to call it. But I'm here also to tell you what's been opened up in my soul ego blend ascension process, and my levels of understanding have come to see the toning as a step above the light language. And I don't mean above as in power over others. I mean above as in higher frequency bands. That's what I mean. So in the higher frequency bands of light communication are pure tone frequencies. That's why the sound that moves light can only go so high if you're speaking in English. If you're speaking in light language, the sound only goes so high. It's the light of your soul. But if you slow it down to pure tone, the toning in the frequency is what really is conveying the most highest movement of love light energy. So when you're hearing somebody speaking light language, when they hit a certain tone, you'll feel an activation in your own body because it's moving light. It removes density by speaking to the light codes through the grid network that's connected to your physical and through your physical body. That's how these things are done. So when you're hearing Karaisatael, when you're hearing that pure tone and it moves in your body, something moves. That is light being recognized in your physical vessel. And so that's how that works. Now, you have the place to go to see this open source coding for your crystalline network to open up to yourselves and open up the energy fields in the crystalline network that go through your own energy systems in your body. You have the right to that. Everybody is a sovereign being who has the right to that. Even if you haven't claimed your sovereignty yet, you still have a divine birthright to the grid work that goes through your body. So start to waken up to that and stop letting people steal your energy. Stop letting people control what goes into your field, creating fear, because you're just feeding your energy. Fear comes in, fear comes into your body as you allow it. And when it leaves, you're giving your life force that you generate. You are a generator. And if you're generating energy based on fear programs, everything that goes out is being captured by beings that are still feeding off of that. So taking responsibility for your own fields and what you're producing energetically comes all down to knowing thyself, knowing your thoughts, knowing how they generate through your mind system, this beautiful computer, this body that you have. The mind system is the computer behind the body system that's like an avatar that you're in control of. So as these fields that go through you that you're connected to, you have every right to do what you will with it. But first, obviously, do no harm. And how you generate, what you generate by your thought creation is open source as you go further along this path to mantras and keys that help you unlock your own divine birthright. So if you're not familiar with meditation work or light language work or toning really is a great way to just bring your soul right in, bypass all the other constructs that your mind's created that you have to do it a certain way. Some people use their light language with their hand mudras. Some people use their light language through their artwork, or just through their voice grid systems as they tone, or sing, or speak. When some people speak, the light does what the intention created, which is to heal and activate and allow common sense, spirituality, and self-empowerment to take over the mind system in a way that each individual soul path is recognized, honored, respected, and it basically just lights a candle and says, here, if you touch your candle to this light, it's your light, and you're in control of protecting that light and growing that light so that your own inner flame sun can burst forth in self-generation. So there it is. Thank you for being here. We just had our second eclipse of the season. If you're watching this at some time later in the future, this is May the 16th. It is the day after the full lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which is the second of a divine trinity of eclipses that are taking place in 2022. So if you're listening to this in the future, at some point, these personal ascension energies, when you look back on this time, you're going to see these energies are giving you exactly what you need to begin again with what's really important. And all the purging that's taking place, it's setting you up so that you can connect with your own divine soul and receive your own soul transmissions and understandings of things in the cycles of time as you grow your own tree of life. So thank you for being here. Remember just to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. And I will talk to you very soon. Take care.